You have a choice to be a radiator or a drain. And be a radiator, somebody who radiates heat and positivity and joy. Don't be a drain that like pulls everybody down. And that goes along.
That. It's a wildfire.
It is a it's a wildfire that we are not going to take out.
I could feel it right now. Woo.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to another episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your health coach and host, Jenn here with you every week. And for what I know, today is going to be super fun. And I expect to be an inspiring conversation. No pressure to our featured guests. And that's right, we have two guests with us today who are both returning visitors to the podcast. So let me reintroduce you. First, she's been changing bodies for more than 30 years in the fitness world as a dancer, then fitness instructor. She's a co-founder of Physique 57. Today, after becoming a life coach in the last few years, she's more passionate than ever about inspiring, empowering, and coaching women to live lives beyond their wildest dreams, making their second act better than their first. As she says, you reimagine, reinvent, and recreate your life. Welcome back, Tanya Becker.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm so excited to have you. And then joining Tanya and I is another guest you are familiar with. He has over 20 years of personal training experience. He's a certified personal trainer from the National Academy of Sports Medicine and also holds certifications in behavior change, corrective exercise, and as a performance specialist. In 2012, he joined Physique 57, the premier bar fitness company in the world. So you see the connection, right? Everything's making sense now. In 2020, he opened his own personal training business and believes that getting fit for life is the key to longevity and health. Back again for his third visit, Chad Levy.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait.
I need sound effects. I say it all the time now. It's like,
yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you. Right.
Yeah,
Drum roll, right.
Yeah.
Like, what's the horn? You know, the bow, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
I just did my own sound effects. Awesome. You're welcome, listeners.
Put it on your resume.
Totally. So thank you both for being here. I'm super excited about this. I want to remind everybody, because I said you guys have been here before. So Tanya, your episode was called The Method Behind the Madness, which aired in February of 2020.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? That was like before the pandemic.
Holy moly. I was trying to think about that. Okay.
I know. So that was episode 27. We've come a long way since then.
That's amazing.
Like 200 episodes later, you're
I was
here.
just going to say, how many? 200? Oh.
I know. Yeah. Including
And
all the nutrition nuggets. We're like over 400 episodes.
That's amazing.
Testament to you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That is amazing.
Yeah. All right. And then Chad, so you were first here with Amy on episode 92 for Functional Fitness to See Your Inner Warrior.
Yes.
That one aired May of 2021. And then I asked you guys to join me for a Q&A fitness edition that was in August of 2022, episode 161. And I have to tell you, that's one of our top 10 most downloaded episodes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's very cool.
Right? People have all the fitness questions.
We're here to
there are
answer
always
them.
questions.
Right. So maybe we'll get to more of those today. So friends, you can go back and listen to those incredible episodes. And then today we're talking Fitmas, or I'm calling it Fitmas. And I'm not going to lie, you guys came to me with this one.
Yes.
So you want to fill everybody in? Chad, maybe go for it.
Well, you know what? The holidays are always a special time for me personally. I love celebrating literally everything. And years ago, Tanya and I came together and worked on this workshop for Physique 57 called Planksgiving. And it was such an amazing time for not just the clients, but for us of collaboration and positivity and really seeing how much that we could push people to reach their potential. And
I'm sorry. I can't help but laugh because as a participant of Planksgiving, push people is very much what would happen in that room.
well,
How about inspire people?
Inspire people, yes. Not physically.
Because it's really no
but,
joke. We should tell people those are 90 minutes of the Z57. So
yes,
with Chad.
Right.
And
you. No, it was our brainstorming sessions behind that were literally like, ooh, what can we do now? And it was back and forth and back and forth. And it was a roaring success in my mind. We had so much fun and we did it for a couple years. And, gearing up toward the holidays, we were just talking about the power of positivity and how much that wasn't just for the clients, but it was great for us as well as trainers and as motivators to help facilitate watching people change and watching people grow. And so we were like, we need to inspire more people. Like, who can we call? Dun, dun, dun. There's my sound effect. Jenn!
That's exactly what happened. Chad and I were chatting and he said, you know what? We should reach out to Jenn and do a podcast on all of this. We need to share this. And that's how we got you to get us on.
Right. Well, listen, I am thrilled because the way I think of this is like the physical, mental, emotional well-being piece that this time of year I think is harder than most for a lot of reasons. Like, Chad, you were saying you love the holidays, but I think for a lot of people, it's not necessarily their best 3 weeks, or month or whatever.
Yeah. It's the mindset training. And it's a time of year that either reminds you of everything you don't have and that you've lost, or that you do have and you can practice gratitude for. And I'm not like minimizing loss by any means, just sharing from where I'm at, having come down with this strange, like nervous system dysregulation, who knows why, how, but the last 3 months, I haven't been able to work out. I haven't been able to do all the things, and it's the holidays and I can't travel right now. And I can either look at that and say, well, poor me, I don't get to go see all my friends. Or I can look at this as a time of healing and all the things I do have to be grateful for, mind, body, and spirit. I can still walk. I can do these things. So, it is a training. And I think as we get into it, we can give all sorts of tips of how to get there. If your listeners right now are listening going, oh yeah, no, holidays, this is, I'm still single. I don't have this. I don't have that, and it's, and as a life coach and as a coach, it's all about reframing that, but easy to say it. How do you actually do it? So,
100%.
Go ahead, Chad.
Wow. I'm just like, I'm listening, being like, you're so great. No, I mean, I think that when I say that I choose to celebrate, I push myself to have an optimistic outlook on life. And that actually comes from not having certain things at certain times in my life and making choices. And what I found was that fitness for me, a daily activity at different levels of intensity, but daily activity for me was my grounding point, my stability factor. And it helped me to release the endorphins, to, release those things that kind of get in your way. And it was wonderful. So when I say like, I like to celebrate it, I look at it as every single day, honestly, you can celebrate. Fitness is not, during the holidays is another day. It's another day to celebrate. It's another day to keep at your place. And when we talked about longevity, it is about doing the daily for the forever. And so that's what I meant by that.
Can we just talk about the word longevity right now? I mean, is that not the buzzword of this?
100%. Everybody go back to the longevity equation episode. Right?
Okay. Yeah. And it's so true what you were saying, Chad, because, I know you and I know all of your trials and many of them that you've been through. And if you've ever taken class with Chad or been lucky enough to have him as your trainer, his energy lights you up. It's contagious. And that is a practice, right? Then it becomes who you are, and how lucky that we all are to have you as, that inspiration in our lives. But
absolutely.
Yes, longevity and health span as opposed to lifespan. So it's like looking at this time of year and going, what am I celebrating? What can I celebrate? And how am I contributing to my longevity and my health span on a daily basis throughout the year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, really quick, because I have to jump in with two things. One, Chad's positivity and energy got me going to a 6 a.m. workout class on Fridays.
See, who would do
Those
that?
were so much fun.
They were so much fun. And I will tell you, like I'd say, okay, I'll do a 6:30, but 6 feels real painful, right? And then there was one Friday where my schedule was whatever, and I had to do the 6 a.m. I was in the best mood that day. I then planned for all the rest of my Fridays to start with 6 a.m. with you.
Oh, wow.
And then it became the 6 and the 7,
Right.
or part of the 7.
Yes.
Because, we're a little loony like that. But I
you
think,
had a whole group that came
Yes.
together that did it. It was amazing.
Yes. Well, and we are still a group,
And
Listen,
I think
if you
that's
work out
important.
together, you stick together.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Connecting. People that live long have strong communities. In the
100%.
blue zones, in all the studies that they've done, they have strong communities. So if you're struggling to do movement or anything, it's connect with someone.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Let's start with maybe the physical fitness piece and work through some of the tangible things, and then we can get into
Sure.
all the mental, emotional stuff. But really quick, before I forget, I have to tell our members what they're getting this week. So
Ooh, I can't
members,
wait.
I know Chad's a member. Okay, so members, your recipe is for sheet pan chicken fajita bowls. This is dinner for 4 in like 30 minutes with 1 sheet pan and a couple bowls. Like, great when you don't have a ton of time or don't want to spend a ton of time in the kitchen. And you probably have all the spices already, in your pantry. If you're not me as a single person living in New York City who barely cooks, you already have all the spices. Every time I make a recipe, I place a grocery order for all of the spices, and now I have like 6 of the same thing. So that's your recipe, the sheet pan chicken fajita bowls. And since it's the last month of the quarter, it's time for your quarterly live Q&A. So it's a one-on-one this month to accommodate all of your personal schedules. So just click the link in your email this week to book time in my calendar. So if you want this recipe or access to the live Q&A, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. I say it all the time. It's a steal when you take advantage of the full offerings. You save far more than that $10 cost. I have been told to raise this price, and I keep holding to it because I want it to be a no-brainer way for you to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast and this community so that we can continue to do this with you every single week. So remember, you're going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link in the show notes because that's way easier. Once you're there, you click support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You'll get the recipe for sheet pan chicken fajita bowls and your quarterly live Q&A. That's one-on-one, just you and me for 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, obviously, everybody needs to be a member. I'm just going to say, clicking on the link really is the easiest thing to do. I mean, it is. I took a moment because I was like, what was that address? And then I just clicked the link, and it's amazing. And I look forward to everything every single week. It's great. I just have to say that.
You had me with, you just need a pan and 2 bowls, because I still live like a single woman living in New York City, even though
Thank
I have
goodness.
like kids and a huge, I still don't have anything in my pantry or my cabinet.
I love it. We're all human. So let's start on the physical fitness thing, because we've talked about the longevity piece, right? Aging well fundamentally comes back to lifting heavy things and putting them back down again, doing it over and over. And the other thing that you were saying too is it's the daily things, the small changes that lead up to the reward. And I know in the moment, like that 1% can seem like nothing, right? But we know that it adds up. I guess one of the things is like, you've both said that sometimes while you've lived your life inspiring others and leading others in fitness, it's not to say that every day of your life you want to work out. So I'm sort of curious, like, what do you do for yourselves when you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today?
Does that ever happen to you, Chad?
Actually, yes. I think because being a trainer, you're giving and you're pushing and inspiring, not pushing, inspiring. And you're working so much and giving your energy so much that when you go, I have to take care of myself and I need to do for myself as well, you're exhausted. And there's every excuse in the book to not do something, except for thinking, do I want to move with ease still? Do I want to have my daily activities that I don't have to think about because I can lift something overhead, or I can pick something up, or I can go up those stairs. And so I keep saying that mantra to myself over and over of like, what you work for, you will achieve. And I think I go through, and it's usually about 10 minutes into my workout that I finally like relax and go, okay, this is when it's happening. The first 10 minutes, I have that internal person who's trying to coax me over to the TV to relax. But, it's tough. But I think personally, it is about just remembering that every single movement that you do, every weight that you lift is a step in the direction towards the ultimate functionality and mobility of your body.
I'm going to totally mess this up, but there's a quote. I won't say who, because I'm not even sure who it's by, but just imagine that you're given one car for life. So you can pick any car. That's your car for life, right? I don't know if you've heard this before.
Yep.
How would you take care of it? And that's kind of like our bodies. This is our vessel for this life. And part of it is physical. And what are you putting into it? What are you fueling it with? And I know we'll get to the other stuff, but taking care of your muscles, because that is the longevity of life. Like if you don't have muscle on your body, you're going to be a challenging life. And I know being 52 and being close to menopause, being in perimenopause, which is a whole nother topic, muscle is so incredibly important for women, critical, vital, because we start to lose bone density, like just from the science part of it. Forget about like just feeling good. We start to lose bone density. And when you start to lose muscle mass, your metabolism starts to crash. I mean, all of these things, you got to do weight training, you got to strength train. Other stuff as well. But, and on a daily, you don't have to do all of these things daily. I think you have to move every day.
Yeah.
I think you have to move every single day, no matter what. I had a dance teacher. His mantra was never stop moving, and he danced well into his 90s. So do something every single day, whether it's going for a walk, your favorite class, that now there's so many virtual options out there. Do something every single day. You don't have to stress yourself or, suffer, but do something every single day. And it may not always feel good, like Chad was saying, when you get started, but you're always going to feel better when you're done.
Well, you think about your car, the quote about the car, and it's so funny because I know that quote very well. And I also know the fact that just this year, I've spent so much money on my car.
Me too. Me too. My car is actually in the shop right
for
now.
These unknown things that cost so much money. And I was like, why are these things happening? And it's because you didn't take care of this. I'm like, but I didn't know. Like, there are a lot of things that I'm an expert on, not cars. That's just not going to be one of those things. But, it's like I didn't take things in a certain amount of time. And so now I'm paying the price of things breaking down probably and getting further. And that's so, Tanya, when you were saying the whole thing about the car as your, one car per life, when you think about that with your body, you're like, do you want to later on pay through the roof, not just physically, but financially as well for things to go wrong? Or do you want to take the action? Like what Tanya was saying again about moving every day, finding some kind of movement, finding some kind of way of strengthening your body so that it actually deters those things in the future.
Yeah. I often talk to clients about, muscle is your savings account.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I love
that. Yeah.
Right? Like that's what's there. That's what's burning the extra things, storing things so that we can use it later. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know if you guys know this. So your quad strength and your grip strength are directly tied to cognitive health. And they don't know exactly why that's the case, but there's a distinct correlation. I know, Chad, your face.
We're both thinking
I'm
like
hitting
quad,
research after this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my thought went to thinking of you, Jen, doing like how many down ups, thigh work can you do? Like you're really strong. You have a strong cognitive.
Thank you. Yeah, so
and
smart.
From gripping the bar for dear life. It's like,
totally holding on to that bar for dear life and survival. But it's those things. And then not that I think about this in the moment, but when you think about the muscle, especially the quads and all the things, it's like, I want to be able to get up off the toilet when I'm 92 by myself. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right? Like it seems silly. And I will admit, it is hard to connect those dots when it's like, oh, I got to get off the couch. Yeah. But then to your point, I've never done something and then been like, oh, I really wish I sat on the couch.
Right.
But they do that with elderly clients. I've actually worked with some elderly clients and the sit down and stand ups, just sitting down in a chair and standing right back up. it is one of the best exercises that somebody can do. And by the way, it doesn't have to be just for the elderly. Like if you do nothing, sit down and stand up 10 times, just like get yourself moving to get the body working.
Yeah.
Yep. They say there's like the quality of your life is like how you can get off the floor.
Right.
Well, Tanya, that depends on the day, because sometimes I just want to stay on the floor.
I have to roll to the side. I have to.
Right. Well, and I'm not going to lie. There are a lot of classes where at the end, I'm just going to stay on the floor. I will crawl for the rest of the day. You know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And, I think it's a great thing, though, when for both things, there's a great time when you're working out and you really challenge yourself to reach that level of overload and exhaustion where you're like, I'm going to sit here for a while until my legs stop moving and then I'll get back up. But there's also that beauty of when you're just walking down the street and all of a sudden you realize like, oh, I have a little bit more pep in my step. Like I'm going a little bit faster than I thought I was. And I got here that 30 seconds more. And all of a sudden you realize like everything has been this whole continuous process. It's very cool.
Yeah, I think, and that to me brings up the point of like, I'm talking about these workouts where I can't, but don't feel like walking after, right? Like not every day, to Tanya's point of just moving, any kind of walk, like you're saying, Chad, or any kind of movement in a day is so important and so valuable. So especially at this time when it might feel like 20 minutes is all you have to yourself or 5 minutes is all you have to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like it's still worth it.
Well, I think it's worth it. And to be very fair, like there's going to be days that you feel like pushing the intensity and there's days that you do not feel like pushing the intensity. And there's all these different levels and modalities of workouts that are great for it. So I think that that's the focus of all of this during, when we talk about Fitmas, let me try that again. And we talk about the holidays, we think of like, yeah, there's days where you come back and you're like, I don't want to do anything. Okay, let's take a walk. Let's just clear the air. There are going to be days that you want to throw weights around, like go for it. And that's what it is also listening to your body of what your body needs at that time.
Yeah, I was going to say when it gets, colder and darker, that can really mess with you too. It's just like, well, I'm just going to, sit down with my, whatever bag of potato chips and binge on Netflix when that's an easy choice. And I think it comes down to choices. And I think a big part of it is planning. I always go back to it's like planning. Just have a plan for the holidays. Just have a plan. If you're traveling, there's virtual opportunities. There's walking. We live in a world where everything is so much easier for us that I almost don't want to say there are no excuses. So pack your sneakers, do what you need to do. And that's going to make all the rest easier, because you're going to get the endorphins going. It's going to change your perspective. So if you're someone that tends to it's hard to jump out of bed and have like a happy-go-lucky attitude for the day. Plan your workout earlier then, go for that walk first thing. Put the music on. Just get the heart going and the blood flowing.
Absolutely.
I also like the accountability idea of working out too. And the accountability meaning that whether you're working with a trainer or whether you are in a group fitness environment. And that also goes for the virtual as well. Like virtual now has like a live virtual and you have live group and there's something that's really amazing about it because you're in it with someone else at the same time. So you don't feel alone. I think also during the holidays for some people, when they feel down, they almost go inward. And I think sometimes that we need to go inward, but at the same time, it's such a wonderful thing to have the community, like what Tanya was saying earlier, that to have that time of being like, you're not alone, you're with a bunch of people, we're all going for this together. And each of us has our own issues and our own things that we're battling at the same time. But for right now, for this one time, we have each other. And that's something that's really beautiful. And like Tanya was saying also that wherever you are, traveling, there's an option for that. Yeah. And that's really cool.
And I think the thing that's sticking with me as you're saying it, or the dots that are connecting, is as we're all in this and lifting ourselves up, we're lifting each other up. And
Absolutely.
That, right? And so not having to figure it out alone and having that communal energy and camaraderie. I mean, this is sort of the perfect transition to then talk about the mental emotional side. But I would be remiss in, you guys brought up the virtual options. And so in a lot of the live virtual options, the instructor can't necessarily see every person. In other virtual options, they can. And I'm really curious from your perspective as trainers on the other side of the camera, looking through the virtual screen, how is it for you guys training clients through Zoom or a platform like that?
You want to start, Chad?
Yeah, sure. It's not the same as live because people are much closer, which is great. But what I love about seeing when I see somebody on a screen, I pay close attention to the fact that I need to be really up on their form. It's so important because I'm not able to give that hands-on correction that I know that somebody is in a safe environment to be able to do the workout and keep themselves safe because I'm not there to monitor all that like hand to hand. If somebody doesn't have their camera on or you're doing a workout where you can't see them, my focus is on inspiration and motivation and to let them know that they are just as part of it as the people who are on the screen, and also to inspire them to find that inner fire within themselves. And that goes also for people like who do a virtual workout way after the live version of it, is that you still want to give that kind of energy. And that's what I try to do, is to give that kind of energy so that it can translate even in past tense.
Right.
That's what you were saying. I think that was right before we got on, right? About
right before we started recording.
A Chad class will hold up till the end of time. I have to agree with Chad with all of that. I think you have to be a better teacher in certain ways for virtual, because you have to really understand we all have different learning styles, right? So there's visual, there's auditory and textual rather. So I think you have to try to cover all of those and then anticipate. So I think that's why seasoned trainers do well on virtual, because they can anticipate. I mean, I was teaching and like people's screens will be turned off and I'll be like, or, like on the DVDs, right? Or I'm aging myself now. And I'll be like, I know you want to stop now, but like, this is where, and they're like, how did you know I want to stop? I'm like, cause I know, you just know when people are right at there. It's like, this is that last 10 seconds, or where to push and like chat with them, where to inspire them, where to also, I think it's important to just transitionally, when someone's at home, to just give them a moment sometimes too, to get their weights or transition. I think just knowing that they can't just fly because you have the choreography in your mind and you want to keep going, that people might need a moment to just be like, chill. And then I think if for the viewers out there, if you can put your camera on, please do, because that helps the trainer. I know that keeps you both accountable.
Can I say something? Sorry, I just have to do a huge shout out to Tanya on this. Just from back in the physique days, was such a monumental. I mean, I had been personal training for years before I joined Physique 57, but the training that Physique gave and that Tanya had, I mean, I actually still have my booklet of training from the intense training that every single instructor went through, and the quality control and learning not just about how to do timing and not just the method, but also the mindfulness behind it and constant education throughout the years that I was there, spearheaded through Tanya's vision. And it's something that really does translate to why she's created like some of the best instructors in the industry, is based off of the fact that you do learn your timing, you do learn your motivation, you do learn how to read somebody's cues and what type of learner that they are. Like, and we're talking like clients. And that was something that was mind blowing, was when you're teaching, and even when you're teaching on a Zoom, you can see people grasping at different things and you can adjust how you're saying something based off of knowing who gets it a different way. And that, and I have to give a huge shout out to you, Tanya, just for all that you've created and also for the experience that I had. It's like so amazing.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I guess I just have to shout out back to like Alicia and all the team at Physique that keeps it going too. Yeah. And the love that you all have. And Jenn, taking class with us since the beginning. We certainly don't get to practice that. So without you all. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. It's funny because, but even being a client in that room, right? And getting used to the verbal cues and translating that into the body, right? Like I grew up a dancer, so that's very much, sort of in my brain. But years ago, I remember we were at my ex's house and his nephew was practicing, I don't know if it was like baseball or soccer or something. And they were trying to tell him what to do to like do the next one differently. And I said to, I don't know if it was my ex or his dad, I was like, go over and like move his body. He's not translating the words that you're saying into what that means for his body. Like, go touch him. Like, you know, it's like not going move his foot where you want it to go. But that's, you know, exactly what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we take coordination for granted. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
It is something where, and you see that where something as simple as a lunge, you think is the easiest thing, making two 90-degree angles. And you have to really break it down.
I think a lunge is the hardest thing to teach, right?
I hate lunges. I hate lunges so much.
And curtsies are even worse.
So I'll take a curtsy over lunge.
Hold on. Back up. Why do you hate lunges so much? I'm so curious about this.
I feel like my body rejects them. Like,
I don't think I've ever heard that about a position of exercise. My body physically
I'm allergic to lunges.
You know what? I feel the same way about push-ups, but yeah.
Right.
So, see, I like both of those.
Your body's not allergic to any movement, Chad?
It is, actually.
What's your move?
Oh, gosh. Actually, me personally, I have a hard time with front squats with dumbbells. I have a hard time with that. Yeah. It's actually, my body has a very hard time maintaining its position. And it's something where, like with a bar, it's very easy for me to keep everything in alignment, but certain just the uneasiness. And I think also mentally, I have a block against it too. I'm working on it though.
Yeah. All right. Jen, well, we're going to take all of our, all of our exercises that we're allergic to and make a class out of it. Right?
Yes, we are.
I would say go towards what you dislike.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so let's shift into the, mental, emotional side, and physical fitness is such a conduit to that. But really quick, I got to take a break for our partner. So I'm actually going off book here a little bit because I'm commandeering our partner's real estate in this episode to talk to you about my Resolution Revolution program. So I mentioned it last week. This is the perfect plan for you to keep your resolutions past January. So it is a 6-month group coaching program that's meeting twice a month to keep it super manageable, fit it into your life, not take over everything. It's going to start with a one-on-one intake, after which I'm going to give you a menu plan, and you'll be ready to rock and roll when the group starts January 23rd. So when you click the link to learn more, you'll see that there are 2 packages. So there's a weight management package for everybody looking to shift their body composition, remove fat, and enjoy their clothes fitting a little better or a lot better. And then the optimal health package is for everyone who wants to have more energy, not rely on coffee to function, and support their optimal health with foundational supplements. So this is for the people who don't necessarily know what they need personally, but know that they probably shouldn't listen to everything they hear on social media, right? So both packages were designed by me based on over 16 years of experience of working with clients on nutrition, supplementation, and wellness. These are the regimens that I know work. What's more? Right? Okay, what's more? It is the most economical coaching package I've ever offered. And to sweeten the deal, if you commit in December to that group that starts January 23rd, I'm going to give you a free one-on-one each month of that program. So if you commit in December to start January 23rd, you get 6 one-on-ones simply by making the commitment.
Wow.
And, okay, so here's what you do. You're going to text 2024 to 844-947-4846. 2024, 2024. to 844-947-4846. You're going to receive the link to get all the information, book your one-on-one, all the things. So you're texting the word 2024, not a word, it's a number, 2024 to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number, standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, we did the physical, now like the mental, emotional. And so we talked about before that the endorphins come from the physical activity. Being in the room with people lifts up our own energy. Just by being there, we're lifting up other people's energy. And going all the way back to Planksgiving, I think that's what made it so fun, right? That it was this collective exhaustion and endorphin rush.
Yeah. I think it was so much. I'm sorry. I'm still reliving those moments. Amazing.
No, we're gonna bring it back. We'll bring it back.
Absolutely.
I mean, I still enjoyed it this year in its current variation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 2 parts to it. I think, for whoever's listening, if you're not in a group setting, take into account that you can still get that connectedness, whether it's, walking with a friend or doing something, inviting somebody to join you for, that stroll, or to come to your house and do a virtual class together. I think there's a lot of options out there, but I do love that connectedness and the group energy. There is something, that's why I dedicated my life to group fitness, because there's something special that happens when there's music going. It's like being in a show. It's like, but you're all in it together. Everybody's on stage together, and, it's live theater, and you don't know what's going to happen. And
Tanya, I see a disco ball in our future.
Yes. And then if you add some props and a disco ball now. But
I will say these two are known for a costume and some props.
Give me a costume. Let's just take it like, it's the best. But yes, that to your point, there's something that happens that's almost like magical when you have all of those elements coming together for people, and that washes over you emotionally, physically. You have that endorphin high for the rest of the day, for sure.
Yeah. You're accelerators for other people. It's great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I love that. Like being the accelerators for other people. So for everybody listening who's not necessarily a fitness instructor, like you're still an accelerator for the people around you.
Yep.
Even if they don't necessarily want to go walking with you.
Yep.
By taking that time, whether it's your kids or anybody else, you're demonstrating and creating the belief in themselves because you have it in yourself.
Yep.
Well, people always come back from a class and say, I'm a much better husband or wife or daughter since I just worked out. And to your point.
Yeah.
Yep. It's, I'm so quoting, this is really funny. It's not off topic. It's fully on topic, but I just saw a post by Reese Witherspoon. I don't know if you saw this. It was on Instagram and it was so mind blowing. It was from her grandmother. And she's like, you have a choice to be a radiator or a drain, and be a radiator, somebody who radiates heat and positivity and joy. Don't be a drain that like pulls everybody down. And I was like, and that goes along. That. It goes along with the same, thanks, Reese, if you're listening, but it goes along with the same idea of that group fitness and being a radiator. And I think like hearing that analogy, I was like, oh, and I just heard that literally the other day. And I thought, I'm like, how can I radiate? How can I, like, what does that mean to radiate, and what to give off heat, to give off whatever you're giving off? And I think it's a beautiful thing that also helps kind of create that mental and emotional, I want to say force field, but almost like just kind of like, a force field to kind of get through the holidays, but also to get through your year of how you want to radiate whatever is going on in your life. Do you want to like let it drain you, or do you want to go, I want to build, I want to lift? And that's where you grab other people to radiate even more heat. And then it's a furnace. So
it's a wildfire.
It is it's a wildfire that we are not going to take out.
I could feel it right now. Woo. Oh, sorry, that was
it's
a hot
all
flash.
Coming at you.
Right? Fire emojis. It's happening.
Love it.
But I want to go back to something you guys both said in the beginning was about the choice, right? Tanya, with what you're going through right now, and Chad, like choosing each day to show up and be grateful and find those things. Like just like building the physical muscles is longevity, right? And community and connection is longevity. I think the mental emotional stuff is also a muscle and also a practice. And so how do you do it for yourself? How do you help other people continue to make those choices, especially at a time when it's like they might be able to think it for a minute and then it's gone? It's like that constant,
I actually just started listening to How to Think Like a Monk or Live Like a Monk or Jay Shetty book. And to your point, if you don't work a muscle out enough, or to that point that it's gonna, it's gonna get saggy, it's gonna atrophy, it's not gonna have that same tone. And that's exactly with our emotional and mental well-being. And I think it's a daily practice. For me, it's prayer and meditation. I don't start my day without it. If I don't get out of bed and start, and I'm lucky now, my kids are a little bit older. It was definitely more challenging when they were younger, but to have the time, but you can do it at any time of day. I recommend it a little earlier before you get into your day, to taking some kind of practice. And that's the same thing with gratitude, because it's easy to say, oh, I'm grateful for, my health and my house and all those things, but it's not connected to a feeling, right? And that can get into a little bit of quantum physics there, right? And it's just like, you have to connect an emotion to it and a feeling to it and really get yourself in that state of gratitude. And that you can do through meditation instead of just saying the words or writing a gratitude list. How do you emotionally get there? Volunteer, get out of self, do service work, call somebody else that might not be doing. In fact, Chad called me. This is how he said, I wanted to check in on you. I haven't been on social media in a while, and I'm in a wintering. I'm in a healing place right now, but it meant the world to me that he reached out and checked in on me. Like, that gets you out of self. That makes you feel better, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully I make you feel better.
Well, you also said, Tanya, that just gave me this visual, and I was like, oh my God, when you're like, when you don't use your muscles, they get saggy. And I was like, oh my God, saggy brain syndrome. And like, you think about that. And I was like, oh my God, just like visualize for a second a saggy brain. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have saggy brain syndrome. We're creating a new thing.
Yes.
Right.
But it is.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is something that you have to practice. I mean, I think, meditation, and it also, I think meditation comes in multiple ways as well, too. I mean, like whether it's the use of like a set meditation or a mantra or, breathing, for me, I've tried so many different meditations. I think my energy goes too high to calm myself down sometimes to slow down. I'm like, think of nothing. I'm thinking of like 5.
Chad, Chad, I'm going to direct you to an episode that we did early this year that was basically, I can't remember what the exact title was, but I'll put a link in the notes for this. But it was basically meditation isn't what you think it is. Because I felt the same way. I used to think it was about thinking about nothing. I used to, whatever. And now I am a meditator, but years ago, physique was my meditation. Movement was my meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Walking is still such a meditation. Even if I'm listening to something,
Yeah. No, there's just all different types of meditation. I think when people hear the word meditation still, they're like, oh, right, I have to go sit on a mountaintop and think nothing. And there's so much out there. Headspace, there's so many apps. There's so many wonderful tools. Breathing. That's
I know. Wait, can we all just take a collective breath? Like, sure. I feel like this will serve everybody. Like, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow it down. Thank you.
This holiday.
You just meditated, Chad.
I did just meditate. Well, I do actually use the meditation flower on my Apple Watch, and that actually slows me down. And I'm like, why is it going so slow? Why is it going? But it does help. Those things definitely do.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I'm just going to jump on this. So I did a meditation retreat in November. And one of the things that came out of that for me was recognizing that there's always enough time. We can feel like we're running out of time. And that, minute or whatever it is when you're watching the thing on your watch, and it's like, why is this taking so long? But also going back to perspective shift and all the things, like, wait a minute is actually a long time if we use it for something.
Absolutely.
If we're not trying to, I don't know, there's some magic in that somewhere for me.
Well, we're always trying to fill up on, we're in a world of more and quick. And I have to just say, living where I'm at, in Georgia now, and I love New York City. It's always home. In fact, I was in Paris last year, and people, where are you from? And I said, New York City. I forgot. My husband said the same thing. He's like, oh my God, we live in Georgia and we're still saying we're from New York City. That's weird. We both did that. But so New York City is always home. But, really slowing down, I think at some point in your life, you do slow down, or you have to slow down, or something makes you slow down. And I think why people struggle during the holidays perhaps is because things slow down and you're kind of left with your feelings. You're left with your emotions. The job isn't happening. You're not running around. You can't hide. And so I think that's why sometimes it all comes flooding forward. And so I think if you deal with it throughout the year, or are in tune to life throughout the year, the holidays won't be as challenging because you'll have a perspective shift on that. But I do think that part of it is you slow down, right?
For sure. I didn't even think of it until you said it. But now what's coming to me also is recognizing, if we can just recognize that that's part of why we're feeling however we're feeling at this time, then I think it can also help us get through it.
Yeah.
Because that's our only option, right? Is to keep going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And recognizing that part of it is it's all coming up because things are slowing down.
Yeah. And to make sure you have a strong support network, like you're a coach, I'm a coach, Chad's a coach. Wouldn't you like to be a coach? But, sorry if you're was that from like the 1980s or early 70s? I
Whatever
just
it is, it
aged
needs to
myself.
come back. So that's all.
You're a pepper, I'm a pepper. But find someone, find friends, make sure, I think that we talked about connecting through fitness and exercise, but also having that really strong support group for when you're going through it, that you have people that, can help support you.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you something that's not sad. And you're talking about patience, and something that I'm working on is patience. But my youngest daughter, and we were talking about whether they could see themselves being in New York or somewhere else. And she was like, I absolutely can see myself only in New York. And I said, why? She goes, because everybody else is so much slower. She goes, she went to DC and the crosswalks were 60 seconds when you talked about a minute, 60 seconds long. She goes, if I was driving in Washington, DC, I'd be so angry. I'm like, 60 seconds, it really isn't that long. And she goes, well, compared to the 19 seconds of New York City, yes, it is. I was like, okay, we're going to work on patience too. It'll be fine. So
it is so true, right? Or waiting at a Starbucks, or I'm still surprised how much I've started talking to people too. A Publix down here, which is the supermarket, it's like, can I help you out to your car? How's your day going? And they really want to genuinely have a conversation, and it's beautiful. I love it. I love it. So I catch myself when I come up to New York, I'm like, I kind of enjoy also going shopping and no one talking to me too.
So funny. Exactly. But having those times, like the moments of slowing down, a bit of reflection happens this time of year. I'm not the biggest New Year's resolution person.
Oh, right. We were going to talk about that.
Are you guys resolution people?
No.
Not anymore.
I'm a manifester.
Yes.
I like physique. I always love to rhyme, right? So it's 2024, the year to manifest more is my little tagline.
That's so good
for us. Yeah, behind the scenes. So, but manifest more, it isn't always about more, but it can be more peace. It doesn't mean more material things. So to answer your question, no, I like resolutions always just feel like you're setting yourself up. I do believe you should have goals and things to achieve. And certainly as a coach, working with people on those things. But I think it's also tuning into your bigger purpose and your passion and kind of a vision of what you see for yourself and how it's going to help others. And that I love. And I think, what's her name? Jennifer Gottlieb. She's a wonderful.
Gottlieb?
Yeah. She writes a letter to herself every year, and then folds it and opens it up a year later. And it's a letter to herself about what she's going to manifest or accomplish that year. I don't know if you've heard about this, but so I wrote myself, I wrote it a little early. I was a little anxious to get things going. I wrote myself a letter and, open it next year around Thanksgiving about like all the things that I've done, that the health that I've achieved, and that my body is healed in a way that's beyond, anything I can imagine, and that, all of the things that I see for this year of impacting people. So I don't know. I'm a manifest letter writer.
Yeah. I think for me, I used to do resolutions years ago, and I'd make like big time, resolutions. Like I can go through a whole list, and I try to manifest everything. And I think I looked up like how many things that you could do to manifest, and I don't think I was in alignment with all that to make that happen. And I think that was me, and it's a process. And so I get disappointed and disgruntled and then go completely backwards. And this is in the midst of inspiring everybody all the time. But what I realized,
this is really helpful. Like, I feel like it's really helpful for everybody to know, peek behind the curtain. Like, no one is, sunshine and butterflies and roses.
No, we're all
the time, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody has our own stories. And I was walking, I'll tell you this real quick. I was walking in the city the other day, and having kind of a down day, and I accept that, and I let myself have it, and I'm looking at everybody and kind of feeling sorry for myself for a hot second, and then I'm looking at everybody around me, and I'm just staring at their faces, which could be weird, but what I realized was like everybody has their own story going on, and somebody's struggling, and I remember somebody saying, remember, your worst day is probably somebody else's best. And something they would give everything for. And I remember that when I get really down and going, somebody has a story that, they're holding on by a thread. I need to hold on for them. But with resolutions, it's not a resolution, but my promise to myself is to make each year that 1% better than the previous. For me as a person, not necessarily, like that you're going to earn more money or you're going to have more things, but just to do better. And I look back and each year, kind of what Tanya was saying, doing a reflection and seeing that, when you kind of give yourself the acceptance, it's not a huge ask. It's just do better than last time. And it's something that's really simple and people don't fail with that. Right. And by the way, fail, I just learned, is first attempt in learning. So
yes.
There you go.
Oh yeah. First attempt in learning. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
fail, second attempt in learning. And no, I'm just kidding.
So we're going to fail and we're going to sail and we're going to tail and all the things.
That's right.
I feel like I used to set resolutions. And then I feel like by definition, because I called it a resolution, it meant that I would forget about it and it wouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. So then like the last few years, again, since meditating and sort of taking a different approach, I've thought more of like a word or an energy that I'm focused on for that. So this year for 2023 was fun. So it's been great.
Love that.
And I'm still deciding on 2024. So we'll see.
Yeah. How do you find your word?
It normally comes to me, and now this sounds a little whatever, but I don't know. It'll come to me.
I love that.
At some point.
Yeah.
I want a word. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it became this thing this year of like, I debated about going to something or not. And I was like, no, my year is fun. Go. Right?
Oh,
is this going to be fun? Go. Right? Does that sound fun? No, don't go. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap this up. A final thought. Chad, will come to you first.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
No pressure, but anything.
I thought you were going to say final thought on something.
You're just in general.
This is my last thought.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Final thought.
Or key takeaway, something you want people to remember.
I want people to remember that it's okay to be going through what you're going through and you're not alone. And more than you know, people are there to help and to lift you if you just look. And with regards to your health and your well-being, remember that every step forward is in the right direction. And just take one step, just get out of that chair one time, then see if you can do it again, and just, even if we don't know each other, like Tanya and I are cheering for you, like all the listeners, we're cheering for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll always be there for you. And people that's the takeaway is the fitness community is a worldwide hug fest of love and support and inspiration.
We're happy people.
Because
we have lots of endorphins.
Happy.
Exactly. Wait, what's it? Reese Witherspoon again.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon. Yes.
Right.
We are radiators.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I don't have much to add to that except for that when you're saying everybody is going through something and that you're not alone and that, asking for help and knowing you don't have to go through it alone, I think is really important. That and even when you feel like nothing's changing, right? Because I've been in a little bit of a holding pattern. Like, is this? That things are changing. I believe the universe has got your back. I really do. I truly believe it. Because like, what's the alternative if you think about it? Like, you got, if that's that mindset training, it's like, if our thoughts are really energy, well, then I think I'm better off thinking some positive thoughts than worry and fear and anxiety, because that certainly isn't going to help my situation. And that everything changes. And that if you're in a season right now where you're struggling and you don't have, everything on the outside doesn't look like it should or whatever, don't give up hope and faith. Like, I truly believe, like, if I can just say that, like, continue to have the hope and the faith, it's going to get better no matter what it is that you're looking for. Like, trust that, like, you will. So,
yeah, for sure. I will make a commitment to everybody that in the new year, I will draw the connection scientifically between your thoughts and your health.
Yeah.
So we'll draw that out in the parts of the brain and how that all happens.
And grip strength.
Right. Right. Well, the grip strength and the quad strength we've talked about before, but all the people way smarter than I am are still trying to figure it out. I think for me, a final thought is just to say, relish in the moments of 2023 that were everything you wanted them to be and more, and take that with you. Leave everything else that doesn't serve you. I hope that this last hour-ish with us provides a little bit of energy and inspiration and motivation. And maybe we were just the excuse to get some time away from all the people that are at your house right now, or whoever you're with. It's cool. We'll take it. We're here for you. And we can't wait to continue. Of course, more episodes next week. But this would normally be where we would do our rapid fire off-topic questions. But you guys have both been here before. And so you have done them before.
We have.
Do you want to do them?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't even remember this because I don't have a memory anymore.
All right. So we'll do super rapid fire.
Whew, okay, I got to take my sweater off.
Right. All right. First question. The best thing you've done for your health this week and the naughtiest thing you've done for your health this week. Chad, you go first.
Oh, yes. Best thing I did for my health this week was workout, which was awesome. The worst thing I did for my health this week was give a party called Latkes and Vodkas. And
I'm in for it.
It was amazing. It was epic. But, nutritionally not the best for you. So there you go.
All right. Well, I can't even say that this is that bad, but I actually just ate a hot dog, right? I was just craving a hot dog. I still don't ever want to know what's in a hot dog. That's probably not the best thing for my health. But, for me, trying to get my endurance down, I have been increasing my steps per day, walking more and more, getting my endurance and stamina back. So yeah, best thing.
Perfect. If you weren't fitness trainers and coaches and life coaches and all the things, what would you do? Tanya,
I'd be
first.
A meteorologist because I love a green screen.
It'd be so good.
And I just love the weather. I'm obsessed. I know it's, I have a whole list of the world, and I love looking at different temperatures, and it's a show, and you get to point to the screen, and, the sun's coming in and we got storms going. And
my favorite thing is that you could be wrong all the time and nobody would care.
Exactly.
I'm literally obsessed though, Tanya. I want you to do that. You got to find a way. I'm like, do everything.
No.
Chad, what about you? What would you do?
One of two things. One, a doctor of some sort, just because I want to continue helping people, or I'd love to be a talk show host.
Yeah.
I could see all of it. Yeah. All right. Your favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or it could be a fiction book.
Okay.
Go for it.
I love all the Margaret George books. Margaret George did the autobiography of Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, and it's historical fiction is what it is. And it is fantastic. And you feel it's written in the framework as if the character is actually writing it themselves, an autobiography. And it's absolutely amazing. And I will stay up till 3 a.m. reading because I just have to get that one more chapter. So that's my big thing.
Oh, tough, because I listen to so many self-help motivational books, and I just, on Spotify, I just listen to, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love him. I was
just talking about him last night.
He's so funny. And I just listened because reading's a little challenging for me right now. But, I think 7 steps to make your life better or something like that. And he's just go do it. Get out of yourself. Just stop already. And his delivery is awesome. So what do you think?
Arnold says it. You have to do it.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you a story. I'm like, that is not rapid fire. Save it, Jennifer. If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be? Chad?
Oh my God. I'm like, there's lots of things I would, depression.
Good one.
Yeah. I'd have to talk about what, I guess, you pronounce it dysautonomia. Just this umbrella of autoimmune nervous system disorders. There's not a lot out there, and there's so many different types of, it's really mind-boggling. And we could do a whole nother episode on functional medicine and naturopathic and then Eastern and Western medicine, and they're all conflicting. And when someone's really not feeling well with something that there's not a lot of medical research on, it becomes really challenging. And I'm lucky that I have a lot of resources, but not so much for everybody else out there. That there's a lot of people that live and suffer with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome and all these things, and there's not an answer, and they live with it for years and years and years. So anyway.
Yeah. If you were a superhero, not to say that you're not, but if you were a superhero, what would be your superpower? Tanya?
Oh God. My superpower, because I've been asked it before, you think I would remember, I think it would be healing people.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I want to do that too, but that's not mine. Can I have 5 of them? No, I want to fly. I had a dream one time where I was flying and that feeling, and I was like, oh my God, how awesome would that be to like just soar the entire time?
Yeah. I love that.
So,
yeah, Superman.
Yeah. All right. What's your biggest pet peeve, Chad?
Being late. That's my biggest. I have to be crazy early for everything. And it's always been a thing. And I'm working on it because it's such a pet peeve if somebody's running late. I start getting really, really anxious.
That's your new time to meditate.
Yeah.
I'll work on that.
I mean, I don't even know if this is a thing. I guess it is still that. Like secondhand smoke. I cannot take people walking down. This is one thing from New York. Like I will go out of my way and be like,
Yeah.
So.
All right. Last one. Tanya, you're first. In your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
Oh, well, we talked about a little bit. Longevity and health span. I think people are going to look at ways, and it's already out there. I don't know all the science, but how people are looking at their health in different ways on a cellular level and all the testing. And I actually just did some genetic testing.
Good.
And it's fascinating to know what my genetics are, but that doesn't make up who I am, but what, propensity, but just to be aware of those things and then to start a wellness program now that can help me in the future. So I love that. And I love anything future, but I think,
that's going to tie into our nutrition nugget today.
Okay. Yeah. I think we're going to become hopefully more
you're
of a wellness.
Winning. Now there's a competition.
Chad, what's the next frontier in wellness for you?
I think
in your opinion, not for you, but
in my opinion, I think there's going to be an element that we're going to go backwards a little bit. I feel like we always tend to go back to the basics with certain movements. And I think that we get to the idea of going like, oh yeah, this particular, like even the ones that we are repulsed by, like the front squats and the lunges and whatnot. But I think that we're going to learn more about it. And, something that from taking, physique classes and, every single time it doesn't get easier because you learn more, right? You can do the same movement and you find a deeper way of understanding it. And I feel like I think people are going to become deeper minded when they work out. And I feel like the next frontier is really understanding that movement is not just physical, but it has that mental connection to it.
Love it.
Love it.
Well, thank you both for being here and bringing this idea and doing this with us. Tell everybody where to connect with you, how to find more. Tanya, go for it.
Oh my gosh. And my AirPods are just going out. So they just went. So TanyaBeckerCoaching.com if you want to work with me. And I should be specific. I coach women in perimenopause and menopause to live there, not as a hormonal coach with dealing with hormones, but more of on the, emotional, mental, spiritual level, like living your best life, your best second half, third act, second act, all of it, whichever act you want. We're going to help you make it amazing.
You can find me. Yeah, you can find me at chadlevyfitness.com. You can find me on Instagram at Chad Levy. You'll see my picture. So you can find me there.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to preview our nutrition nuggets. So this week on Friday, we're talking about raw materials.
Ooh.
All right, so I want you to think, when I say raw materials, what do you think of? And then what do you think of if I say the soil for a plant? You might have ideas. And if you're curious how this is going to translate into health and our bodies, tune in on Friday. I'll make it make sense for you. And I think this one might either create or solidify a mindset shift around health and nutrition. So be sure wherever you're listening now, follow, click the plus sign, whatever, so that your app will alert you on Friday when the Nutrition Nugget goes live. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Chad, Tanya, thank you again for being here. Just appreciate you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, everybody, if you are not already, become a member by going to glow.fm/saladwithasideofries. This shows your support for this podcast and this community, but most importantly, it supports your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the sheet pan chicken fajita bowls and your quarterly live Q&A. That's a one-on-one, just you and me, for 30 minutes. So until next week, I am wishing you a merry, merry Fitmas. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.